following announcement has been paid for by the WZWA Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Insider's Edge podcast here on the WZWA Network. I'm your host with the most on the West Coast, Karlifornia and Fury. A joy, a privilege to be with you all once again. We're cranking out the great guests, left, right, and center right now. And as far as I'm concerned, this person right here, I feel like I already know him. I feel like we've been friends for a long time. We've been talking on Twitter a little bit. Very excited to learn about his life, his journey, and also his brother's journey in professional wrestling. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the one and only Jonny Candido. How are you, bro?
Hey, good, man. What's up, everybody? How's it going?
Yeah, good, bro. Good.
I'm over in Australia. Good.
I'm in a lucky spot of the country. Over on the West Coast, so we don't have any COVID restrictions, don't have to wear masks, so being in an isolated part of the world has finally paid off for me and everyone that lives here. So
I just got back from Vegas like 3 days ago, and they're pretty lax on the masks. Everything here is pretty much open, so it was cool. It was a good time.
Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear that because, all that stuff was certainly a pain in the butt. But, Jonny, I'm so excited to have you on the show. Very excited to talk to you about many different things. Usually the first question on the show, though, is how did you become a wrestling fan? But in your case, it's a little bit different. Your brother, Chris, he became a pro wrestler when you were 4 years old, from my research. So how do you first remember becoming a fan of pro wrestling? Was it just because that your older brother was a wrestler, or please tell me about it?
I think it was just because I was a fan of my big brother. Whatever he did, I wanted to do. He'd, in the morning, I'd go up in his room, we'd eat cereal and watch wrestling. We'd play wrestling in the backyard. And then when he got older, he started taking me around with him. So I got introduced to wrestling, from my brother, obviously. And it was just, it was fun growing up in a house with a pro wrestler, because I can remember there's like a 10-year age difference between us. So if he's like 15, 16, I'd be like 6 or 7. And he used to run around with food coloring in his mouth, like the great Muda, and spit Muda mist all over the place. And a quick funny story. So it was my little sister's baptism, and I'm all dressed up in like a suit and tie. So mind you, my brother has the entire 4th floor of the house is all his. It's like 2 rooms, like a bedroom and like an office, but it's like a hangout. So I'm dressed all nice. I walk up to the room, I throw the door open, and as soon as I throw the door open, he moved and missed me in the freaking new suit, So he's like, holy shit, mom's gonna kill me. So he picks me up, runs with me to the garage, puts some cleanser on, cleans all the Muda mist off, right? I'm good to go. A couple days later, he's up in his room. I go up and get the food coloring, put it in my mouth, run up into his room, bust his door open, and he's in bed with this chick. And both their heads look up out of the covers, and I run over and I spit. Some got on him, but it hit her, all of it. And I ran out of his room, and he caught me on the porch and kicked the shit out of me. But that's life growing up with a pro wrestler as a brother.
That's a fantastic receipt there, bro. Very interesting growing up in a household like that. So how old would have you been when you first started, going to shows that your brother was performing on?
Like 8 or 9, maybe. Yeah, we were 7. The first one I remember really well is Terry Funk and Eddie Gilbert were the main event, and that one really stuck out because it was the first time I ever saw like a more hardcore match where guys get color and they threw the ring stairs in and so I was kind of like, wow, check this out, like this is pretty awesome. And it was right when him and Sabu got back from Japan, because that's when Sabu had all those slash marks all over him, and they were like brand new. And
Right.
I remember going up to Sabu and being like, "Hey, Mister, what happened to you?" He's like, "I fell." And I'm like, "Bro, what the hell did this guy fall on?" You know? And he just got started laughing. So yeah, I was probably like 8 or 9 when I started going around the shows with my bro.
That is super fun for any kid that age.
Yeah, most definitely.
Being a kid, being backstage, because I'm going to have questions about what it's like being a teenager backstage, etc. But being a kid, can you remember running around backstage with any wrestlers that like to scare you, or were there any wrestlers that were particularly nice to you? Obviously, aside from your brother.
I mean, everybody was really nice to me, you know. Like later on when he like gets like, so in WWE, of course, everybody's nice and cordial and everything. And then when I was getting like a little bit older in ECW, I started becoming like little like buddies with him, because my brother was there when he was 24, so I was like 14, 15, 16. So I'd like, me and Nova would pal around a little bit. There was a ring in the back of the ECW arena, like not the one the show was in. There's like one in the back. So I'd go in the back. Me and my buddies would like freaking wrestle around in there, and some of the boys would jump in. But yeah, me and Nova were boys. Me and Bubba Ray, Sabu. I mean, everybody was just super cool to me, growing up. So it was a great experience. I was Tracy Smothers and Tommy Rich. I have some funny, later on, I have some funny stories about going out with the whole ECW guys and partying.
Excellent. I find it. This is great on the show, because I had no idea that the ECW arena was so big that there was another ring just out the back somewhere. So huge, I've learned something.
Yeah, it's a huge locker room. It's like a warehouse with like 3 rooms. It's huge.
Right. Okay. Unfortunately, being from all the way over here, I haven't had the chance to be in the arena before, but hopefully one day. I've heard it's changed a lot though over the years. As time's wearing on, I believe your brother ends up in Smoky Mountain Wrestling, and he is there with Tammy. I wanted to know your memory, like the first memory you ever have of meeting Tammy.
So the first memory of meeting Tammy is she was like she would babysit us, like me and my little sisters. And my first, first I really liked her. She would like take us out for ice cream and shit. She was our babysitter, And so in Smoky Mountain, it was the deal was it was right after high school. She was either going to go to college in Miami or to Tennessee with my brother, who was going there under the guise of going to college. So my family, was making them go to school. But so she chose to go out to the Smoky Mountain, and me going out and visiting them. It was, they were having a great time, and those were really cool years. I think that's when Tammy kind of got. I think she went there just to support my brother, but ended up being part of the show because Cornette was like, "Hey, Chris, your girlfriend's pretty good. Let's see." And she like kind of like a natural on the mic, so it kind of like worked out,
Right, cool. It's interesting to hear about how that kind of took place. You kind of alluded to a story when we were talking on Twitter yesterday, and it's topical because of this man being on Dark Side of the Ring this week. Bruiser Bedlam saying that you needed to be a 5-plate guy. Could you please indulge me on that story?
All right. So here's the story. Right, I'm a little kid. I'm in Smoky Mountain. And my brother was telling me about Bruiser Bedlam. He's like, "Yo, this dude's crazy. He it took 9 cops, and they tried to arrest him, and he beat up 9 cops at once, and like all this shit." And so I see him. He's like, "Hey, kid." He's like, "When you get older," he's like, "if you're a 3-plate guy, don't even talk to me. If you're a 4-plate guy, you can get me a cold drink. If you're a 5-plate guy, we can hang out." I'm like, all right. I put that somewhere in the back of my head. So like years later, we're lifting at this place, Jersey Shore Fitness Shop, me, my brother, and Balls. His real name's John. But so we're freaking boom. We're, so like a month, 2 months into our training, I did 4 plates. I did 4. So we get to the day where I have 5 plates, right? I have 5 plates. That's $4.95. I'm like, put a 5 on either side. Let's make it $5.05. I want to be legit 5-plate guy. So I get it up. boom, hit it for a double. I'm a 5-play guy. We're high-fiving all around. We're like, yo, let's go to Barry's and have a drink and celebrate, right? So we go to this bar, Barry's. We get a shot and a beer. You know, Chris is not a really big drinker. So we get a shot and a beer, drinking, maybe another shot. Bartender comes over. My brother's like, bartender, man, check out my little brother. Check out my little brother. 20 years old, bench 500 pounds today. 20 years old, bench 500 pounds today. The bartender's going, how old is he? He's like, he's 20 years old, man. Check him out. The drinking age is 21, mind you. So he's like, he's 20 years old, man. Check him out. And Balls goes, two. Where I was like, Mr. Wrestling number 2? What does he have to do with anything? And I'm kicking his stool. I'm like, he's like, dude, what the fuck? And the bartender's like, how old is your brother? He's like, he's fucking 20. Is everybody deaf? And then finally, I'm like, dude, the fucking drinking age is 21. Numb nuts. And he's like, oh shit. He's like, dude, he's like, bartender, I'm sorry, he's 21. It was his birthday. I forgot about it. But it just took an uncomfortably long time for him. Like, he thought we were all crazy. And he's like, oh, fuck. You know, it was funny as hell. But yeah,
it's like something out of a TV show right there.
Yeah, for real. The bartender's like, how old is he? He's fucking 20. Are you guys deaf? Dude, shut up, please.
There is a period of time where Chris ends up going to the World Wrestling Federation. What did you think of the Body Donners gimmick that he portrayed in that company?
You know, he would have rather have been himself. I was, you know, I thought it was really awesome that he was just there doing his thing. It was like all his hard work had finally been, it's finally validated. He's in wrestling, he's making money, he's doing good, but he could have done better and they could have given him something better. Like he was really happy to be up there and really happy doing what he was doing, but he would have rather done something else. You know what I mean? He would rather have moved on from that and been like he was in ECW, like Chris Candido, or like, you know, something he was his real name, or like the in Japan he was the blonde bomber. He just, I don't know, that whole for some reason Vince got into his mind that my brother looked like a fitness guy, like one of those guys that does like infomercials at night,
right?
Like that was like his idea behind Skip, you know. So my brother wasn't too happy about it, but he was happy to be up there, you know. So,
right, yeah, no, I mean, I can imagine that too, and I see someone like Hardcore Bob Holly, how he was Sparky Plug, and then he finally got to just be Bob Holly. That probably would have been something that would have suited Chris a lot more later down the line. And you know, he eventually does return to ECW. But before I get to ECW and talk a little bit about that, I'm sure these are questions that you get quite a lot, but I don't know the answer to them, so I kind of wanted to ask them myself and learn it for the first time on the show. Did the Click have anything to do with Chris leaving the WWF? I've read somewhere that like they had something to do with getting him de-pushed or something like that. I don't know.
That was so there was the Body Donners thing ran its course, and they wanted him to go and start and train guys, which he was doing. He was like training. He helped train The Rock and Mark Henry, and he was having matches with them. But also, you know, years later, I knew that the Tammy was fucking, you know, banging guys behind his back, and he always told me, he's like, dude, it's just rumors. It's just rumors. It's not true. It wasn't until later, after he passed away, is when I found out that it was all true. So he was like, I think a lot of it was, you know, he was the reason he said he left. He's like, I don't want to be training people to be stars. This is my prime in my career. I want to go somewhere where I can wrestle and not have to train other people. And but I think a large part of it too was the working environment. He just didn't, you know, if that shit's going on behind your back, and trust me, like you know, around this time, this is when I'm like early teens. It was crazy, man. He was really going through some shit back then, you know. So I think it was a big part of him leaving. You know, it was that, and then if they weren't there, he probably would have stuck it out and saw what happened. But he was like, fuck it. And then other guys were over that he knew were in ECW, so he's like, fuck it, I'll go there.
Right. Do you think that he knew but was in denial about it, or?
I think it could have been. I think he like, so he would always tell me, like, he'd always be like, because I'm a lot quicker, like knock a motherfucker out than my brother is. So he'd always be like, yo, like, if you come across Shawn Michaels, just be cool. Like, we don't know nothing. It's just rumors as far as we know. Like, I don't know anything. So I don't know if he knew and was just telling himself that, just, or if he really, or if he really fucking thought it was rumors. Because what he'd always say, he's like, dude, it's the locker room full of 300 dudes. And she's the one chick. You think there's not going to be rumors about it? Like, that's what he would tell me when I bring shit up, like that's years later. So did he know? Yeah, I don't know. 50-50. He wasn't a dumb kid. He wasn't a dumb guy. So I think he probably knew and probably wanted to tell himself it was rumors, if I'm being honest.
Okay, fair enough. Well, 1996 does come around. He does go back to ECW, thankfully, because it's a pretty decent run here for him. I believe, from my research, you're 14 at the time he goes back and 17 by the time he leaves again, if my maths is correct. How often were you able to attend shows? And, do you have any fun stories being a teenager in the ECW locker room? And as you're getting older, maybe you're getting the chance to maybe have a drink here and there with them.
Yeah. Oh, dude. So in the beginning, so the first time my brother went to ECW, I was at my Aunt Kathy's house. It was somebody's birthday or something. And so my brother's nickname is Cook in the family. When I was a kid, I couldn't say Chris, so I called him Cook. Everybody calls him Cook. So I'm at my Aunt Kathy's house, and he pulls up in a limo. And Mom's like, Johnny, Cook's here. He wants to take you for a ride. I'm like, all right. So I get in the limo. He's dressed in his gear. He's like, dude, I'm so nervous. I'm going to this new federation. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. You want to take a ride with me to Philadelphia? I'm like, all right. So we go to Philly. We pull up to the building. I remember seeing all these people like looking into the limo, trying like banging on the windows, trying to see who it is. I'm like, holy fuck. So we get in there. And so I'm thinking, I'm like, do these people, are they even going to know who he is? Is this, is he going to get like the reaction? Like, I wasn't so nervous for him, So we get in there. He has his match with Spike Dudley, fucking beautiful, top rope powerbomb. And, he's on cloud 9. And I think that was the night that Dreamer and Brian Lee had that scaffold match. And they fell through the tables.
So that high incident, I think.
Yeah. I never saw anything like that. I'm like, holy shit, this is awesome. So he started bringing me around. He started bringing me around so much that when they went to Florida for their first tour, he's like, dude, you got to come with us. I'm like, all right, I'll go with you to Florida. So I go with them to Florida. After the first show, we have this big, all the boys upstairs have like this big table. And it's like, I'm sitting between Tracy Smothers and Tommy Rich. My brother and Tammy are across from me. The Dudleys, Dreamer, New Jack, pretty much everybody is all around this table. We're all eating sushi. And so I remember Tommy Rich was like, wait, just bring me and my son here a beer. And waitress was like, she's like, he's fucking 14. You can't bring him a beer. She's like, all right. He's like, all right, well, bring me 2. He's like, and bring me a shot of Jack Daniels. So he takes a shot of Jack Daniels and dumps it in my Coke. So Tommy Rich is giving me Jack Daniels. Tammy gets a little fucked up, and everybody carries her out, puts her in the car. My brother's like, come back to the hotel. I'm like, no, I'm gonna stay and hang with Tommy and Tracy. We'll be right behind you. So I'm still hanging with Tommy and Tracy, and then so I got a little drunk that night. I remember like walking amongst the sea of the guys, just like we like going to some club or something. I don't know how the fuck I even got in. And then later on, I get back to the hotel and I see some of the guys in the fucking pool. I jump in the pool and then I see the window fucking open. It was my brother. He came running down. He's like, dude, I've been looking for you for like 3 fucking hours. So he used to tell the story later on about how Tracy Smothers and Tommy Rich kidnapped me. So that was like one of his favorite stories. But yeah, being a kid in that locker room was fun, man. It was great. Everybody was super cool. And yeah, that was the first time I was on TV at a wrestling show. Was like me and my buddies used to go up there. We had like our own little backyard federation, and we'd bring like our gear bags, and we'd use the ring in the back to like take promo pictures and shit. So the Blue World Order, Blue Meanie, Stevie Richards, and Nova, they're like, they were dressing like the New World Order. So we're like dressing them up. We're like, oh, you need fucking like fingerless gloves. Diesel wear those. Here, you need fucking glasses. We're like giving them shit from our gear bag. And then they're like, yo, why don't you guys come to the ring with us carrying signs? Come through the crowd carrying signs. We're like, all right, sweet. So me, my 3 buddies, some other people from the back, we come through the crowd carrying BWO signs. This is on TV. I'm kind of a fat kid. I'm like 14. I go over to jump the rail and I fucking fall right over it on my face, right on TV. I'm mortified. I get up and stay walking around with the fucking sign. I get back to the locker room. As soon as I walk in, everybody's like, oh, you took your first bump on TV. Oh, dude. I was like, fuck. Like, I remember Louis Piccolo was the first one I saw. He's like, oh, there he is. I'm like, fuck. I'm like, some dude grabbed my leg. Like, I fucking lied. I really just fucking fell, you know. But it was, dude, it was a fun experience, man. Being around.
Well, what a dream scenario for your ECW television debut. Fantastic.
Yeah, right. And dude, it's on the DVD, The Rise and Fall of ECW. I'm on there. I can't escape that clip. Now I think it's funny, but at the time I was like mortified. You know.
Awesome. Would you say during all that time being backstage at ECW, what would you say would be like one of the more like weirder moments that you've seen backstage? Because I've had a few guys on the show mention things like one time John Cronus just walked into the locker room and he just had a crimson mask and the show hadn't even begun yet. He was already bleeding and there was no explanation as to what was going on there. Do you have any other stories kind of like that? Something weird going on?
It's hard to even. Weird was like kind of normal. I don't know how a lot, you know, some unneeded nudity. I remember like Tommy Rich just sitting around naked, like, hey, look at my wiener. Like people just so for me in the locker room, it would be like I would run up to the Eagles Nest, watch some matches a little bit, come back down. I'll go bother Taz for a while, go fuck around with Sabu for a while, go chill with New Jack and Mustafa. So I was just kind of like running around, like doing shit all the time. It seemed like New Jack would be like, dude, go around and find new weapons to throw in my fucking garbage can. I'm like, all right. Like, so RVD would be like, here's money, go get some cheesesteaks from Tony Luke's. So I was kind of like running around, just like doing shit, staying busy. So yeah, it was fun. I mean, and weird. It was a lot of shit was weird. It's hard to even like pinpoint a moment, you know. But everybody was cool. You know?
I guess if I asked you name something normal that happened, that would be actually weird. Okay.
Yeah, I can't think of anything really normal happening.
I'm getting you. He has such a great run there. What led to him wanting to leave and go to WCW in 2000 of all years? It's such a rough year for that company. I'm assuming there's like some nice money there, possibly. And how did you feel? Because you're a teenager, you've made all these friends at ECW, and now your brother's going to be leaving there. And now, you know, you might not get to see your friends as often, maybe.
I mean, well, to be honest, like those times were when he was fucking bad with the drugs and shit, and so was Tammy. So those years are pretty fucking dark. Like, and financially, like he kind of got fucked because like for the longest he wanted to help like make ECW run. So I know Paulie would ask him to like book all the hotels and all the flights on his credit card, and then he'd pay him back in cash. So Paulie they were doing that for a while, and then Paulie stopped paying him. So my brother had this freaking mansion, and he lost his house. They moved to like a not as beautiful house, but he was still getting great money. But then the drugs, man, and the fucking insanity, it was fucking bad for a while there. You know, like around, I'll say probably around 01, 02 was probably like the worst. 03, and then fucking thank God, you know, he finally got clean in 04, which was fucking awesome, you know. But yeah, I'm gonna say that time was, and it wasn't going unnoticed by the promoters, you know. It's not like he was able to really hide it, or, you know. So it was just tough, man, to watch all that shit.
Right, I understand. Did you ever get the chance to go to a WCW show and be backstage there?
I'm sure I did. It's hard to think. I've been to a lot of different locker rooms. I don't think so. I don't think so. I remember after he was there for like a cup of coffee. I forget how long he was there for, but he was the cruiserweight champion there. Then that went under. When they went under, he was still under contract, so he was still getting paid. So he though there was really nowhere for him to go after that. I know he had some. He burnt a couple bridges in WWE, but nothing that he couldn't fix later on. But it is what it is.
Yeah. I wanted to ask your personal opinion on what you felt or thought when you found out that ECW had closed down.
It was tough, but also at the time, I'm 17, so I'm like in high school doing my own kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, and I wasn't following like wrestling like that even then. Like I was,
right.
if I was with him, I'd be doing that. But if like when he was in ECW, like for the first couple of years, I would always go with him. But then when I got a little bit older, he'd be like, he's like, if you're gonna stay home, just here's my keys to the car and let my dogs out and shit. So I was a sophomore in high school, junior in high school. I'd have freaking parties at his house, and it was so I'd rather stay home and have like these awesome parties than go on the road because I was at that age, So yeah, it was nuts. There'd be like a bunch of kids running. He had like a room with all tanning beds. There people like tanning. Then they had this thing called jungle room where you had like lizards and snakes and shit. And yeah, it would just be wild. And like, yes, everybody called the parties WrestleFests. They're like, oh, is your brother going away this weekend? Let's have a WrestleFest. I'm like, all right. So then what actually ended up happening, how it stopped was I was at somebody's Sweet 16 party. It shows you how old I was. And it got like busted up by the cops. So I'm like, yo, my brother's supposed to be somewhere. I'm like, let's just go there. So I walk up to his house, unlock the door, walk in, and he's sitting there reading freaking Pro Wrestling Illustrated, sitting on the couch. He's like, hey, what's up, dude? I'm like, yo, what's up, bro? I'm like, I was gonna have people over, just my friends, but you're here. I'll just go back to mom and dad's. So whatever, I leave. He calls me the next morning. He's like, dude, what the fuck? He's like, you left? He's like, there was fucking 200 people rolled up to my house. He's like, some dude had dogs fucking running around the front. He's like, people bringing up guitars, walking up with kegs. He's like, what the fuck do you do here when I'm gone? So I'm like, I don't know. I was having a party. He's like, all right. He's like, I don't care if like you and your buddies hang out, but I don't want the entire fucking Manasquan High School in my house, So that put a kibosh in the parties after that.
Awesome stuff. I'm going to bring up some stories that you alluded to with me on Twitter yesterday, just with a few words for each story, because I didn't read everything that you said because I wanted to hear it all right here in the interview. Steroids from a friend in Brooklyn.
Oh my God. So this is freaking hilarious, right? So me and my brother, we go and we pick up some shit from our friend Bolton, Brooklyn. And on our way home, we're like, yo, let's stop over at Nature's Corner and go get a shot of wheatgrass and a protein shake or something. So we go to we're in line at the bar, at the juice bar, and one of our mother's friends sees us. She's like, Christopher, Jonathan, I didn't know you two were on juice. We're like, excuse me? She's like, how long have you been juicing? And first we like looked at each other like, is something fucking falling out of our pockets or something? And then we're like, fucking, she's talking about fucking fruit juice. My brother's like, oh, juice. He's like, oh, I'm always on the juice. I've been on the juice since I was like 19. She's like, oh, doesn't it make you feel? It turned into like a Saturday Night Live clip, She's like, juice is so good for you, makes you strong. He's like, oh yeah. It's like I stay on the juice, and it was just funny because at first when she said it, it's like our hearts sunk. We're like, what the fuck? We thought like we like left the trail of needles behind us or something. We didn't know what to think, but yeah, that was it was funny, man. At first, our heart stopped. Like, oh fuck! But then we realized she was talking about spinach and kale juice.
Awesome. The next story: two black eyes.
Oh my God. All right. So when I first started wrestling, my first match ever, I'm like 19, and me and him drive to Rochester, and like just before this, I had just been like taking bumps in the ring. I figured I'd fall into the business one day, whatever. So we get to Rochester, and I have my first match. So we get to Rochester. I'm just there hanging out. My brother looks around the locker room and he's like, I don't know any of these guys really. I'll just wrestle you in the main event. I'm like, really? Is that going to be all right? He's like, yeah, just pretend we're in the backyard. So anyway, I had my first match. He's just feeding and bumping for me, all this stuff, right? So the next time we're in Queens, and it's him and Sandman. Sandman's like, kid, let's get you involved. You're going to come in, grab the cane, go like you're going to hit me, then cane your brother. Me and you will do beers, and then I'm going to cane you. So here comes the finish. And then so my brother's like, when you get the cane, he's like, sorry. I was going to pick up something that mimic a cane. He's like, when you get the cane, swing it like this, hit me on top of the head. Don't swing it like a baseball bat, or it's going to fuck me up. So I get into the ring, I grab the cane, go like I'm going to hit Sandman, turn around to my brother and fucking swing it like a baseball bat in the heat of the moment, whack him right across the fucking face, right? So, yeah, so fucking Sandman canes me. We're driving back home. My brother's got a stripe across his face, right? So he's like, oh, dude, you did so good. I'm like, dude, I fucked your face all up. He's like, don't worry about it. So the next night, I came out and cut a promo. We were going to do a pull apart, and we were going to set up for a match. So we get out there, and I cut a promo or whatever I said. You know, you think I'm not ready? I'm ready, motherfucker. He comes out there. He gets in my face and he pushes me. And just from instinct, I just went, wham, wham, wham. I hit him in left eye, right eye, left eye. He hit the deck before the guys even came out to make the save. So I'm on top of him, I'm like, shit. I'm like fake ground and pounding him. I just beat the shit out of him. And everybody like pulled me off of him. So now on the drive back home, he's got a stripe across his face, 2 big black eyes. He's like, oh, dude, you did so great. I'm like, dude, I fucking kicked your ass. So later at his house, we're having drinks, and like we're sitting on like a little bar like this. I'm like, dude, you look like shit. Give me a black eye. Give me a black eye. Give me a black eye. He's like, I'm not gonna give you a black eye. Stop asking me. I'm like, give me a black eye, pussy. Come on. So I just kept like fucking needling him to give me a black eye. Finally, I'm going to like take a bite of something, and all of a sudden, he punches me right in the fucking face, and I fall off the bar stool. And then, so then the next morning, we came to our mom's house for breakfast, and she's like, what the fuck happened to you? Look at you two, the moron brothers. What did you do last night? Holy shit. So that's good. That's how we got the name Moron Brothers, which in the book, Chris, I co-authored the book, No Gimmicks Needed, with John Cosper. It came out in January. There's a whole chapter called The Moron Brothers about like funny shit that we did. And, you know, so that's the 2 black eyes story. So he had 2 black eyes, I had 1. But
fantastic. The next one, it appears that you have quite the friendship with one Balls Mahoney. Balls cooking chicken.
Oh, dude. All right. So let me just set this up for you real quick. So I grew up in Spring Lake. So there's like 3 towns close to each other: Spring Lake Heights, and Manasquan. I live in Spring Lake. My brother lives in Manasquan, and it's about a 3-minute ride from my brother's house to our house, and vice versa. We have to pass Balls' house when we go, because he lives in the Heights. So we'd always pass Balls' house to like see what he was doing, look in the windows, fuck with him, whatever. So Balls cooking chicken. We roll up to his house. He's like, guys, come in. We walk in the house. He's like, oh, I'm making chicken Mahoney. Sit down and we'll I'll make it for you guys. Me and my brother are sitting on the couch. Balls, he's constantly in boxer shorts, and that's it. He doesn't wear anything else, and he talks just constantly. So he's got his left hand in his boxer shorts, and he's scratching his nuts. He's going, yeah, JC, you know, we should do that spot. Blah, blah, blah. So he's scratching his nuts with his left hand. His right hand, he takes raw chicken, puts it in eggs, puts it in batter, takes his hand off the nuts, puts it in the pan. Back to the nuts, scratching, talking. Me and my brother like, dude, look, he's scratching his nuts, and then he's fucking picking up the chicken and putting it on the thing. So he's like making like chicken fillets. So he's got like a little, it's like raw chicken, eggs, breadcrumbs, pan of oil. Left hand on nuts, scratching. Hand goes chicken, freaking eggs, breadcrumbs, off the nuts, into the pan, back to the nuts. And we're freaking watching this going, oh my God, he's doing it. Look. So like I said, Balls just talked the entire time. He said, we could do the spot, we do this, you no sell the chair, I do this. So anyway, he finally gets done with the cooking the chicken. He cuts a freaking piece of it off, dunks it in marinara sauce, and puts it like right to my brother's mouth. My brother like seals his lips, and he's like, dude, I can't do it. He's like, I just watched you scratch your nuts for a half an hour. Now you're trying to put your fingers in my mouth. No. And he's like, no, I wasn't. He's like, JC, here. I'm like, I ate already, dude. I'm good. And he's like, come on. Dude, it was one of the funniest things I ever saw. Like, he's like, it was my inner thigh anyway. I wasn't even scratching my nuts. Like, even if that fucking mattered. But yeah, he was going to town stretching his nuts and making chicken at the same time. So funny.
Every time there's a Balls story in the show, it's him doing something gross.
Yeah, gross. Yeah, I have so many stories. He lived so close that I would always, and we worked each other a ton. So I would, I'd see him like every fucking day. So every day with him was a story,
I can imagine. And one more story here that you alluded to, Balls thinking that his house was haunted.
Okay, yeah, this one was funny. So me and my bro were sitting in my brother's backyard in beach chairs. So Balls has a small house. It's small, and his mom's there, and his girl's there, and he's got a dog, and he's got a cat, and it's like a very small house. So we're like, dude, what the fuck do you think Balls does in that house all day and night? So we're like, so this is nighttime. It's like 11. We're like, let's go and find out. Right. So we drive to Balls' house. We park like halfway down the street. We walk up to his house. We look in his window. He's in his boxer shorts, about to cut into a slice of bologna. He's got one slice of bologna on a plate with a fork and knife. And me and my brother start fucking dying of laughter just looking at him. Because it's just giant man. He's eating one fucking slice of bologna with a fork and knife. So he goes to slice the bologna. My brother goes on the window. Balls goes back to cutting his bologna. Finally, I just go boom, 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 knock on the windows. We fucking run away. Next night we come back. He's laying on the ground reading a book. We smash into his windows, fuck up his garbage cans and run away. So then he sees us. He's like, so Johnny, Chris, you never believe this. He's like, my house is haunted. There's apparitions. I see them at night. They're restless spirits. There's two of them, and they shake my things around. And so then he started blaming everything on he's like the ghost. The ghost started stealing his medication. He's like, I knew I had 60 Norcos. This one I have 33. He's like, I have ghosts. They're stealing my medication. They're breaking my room. They're like if a plate would fall down, it's because the ghost did it. And I don't think he even knew that the ghost until he died. That was me and my brother. Like we go there just to like get first to see what he was doing. Because no matter if he was just sitting there watching TV, we would still die of laughter. So we would just go there and fuck with him. And he thought his house was haunted. It was great.
Excellent, bro. So you have spoke about some of your first matches that you had in pro wrestling, and I was looking through some of the match results that you've had over the years, just to see if I could find any interesting opponents. And I found this one interesting. 19th of November 2004 for USA Pro's 11th anniversary at the Amazuna Concert Hall in New York City. You faced Bam Bam Bigelow. What was it like working with Bam Bam?
Oh, dude, freaking awesome, man. Bam are so good. And it's just as a growing up, and I knew Bam Bam. He lives a town over, so it was not like I was like real, I wasn't very nervous about it, but it was just an honor to be like, yo, I fucking shared a ring with Bam Bam. It was freaking amazing. And Bammer's, he's just something else. His strength is fucking out of this world. He's he's a real deal. And just, getting to share the ring with a legend like that is pretty amazing. And and he was different level. Like he was that age and he could still really work. Like not to take anything away from the other guys. I worked a lot of like legends, like, Tito Santana, he could still go. But guys like Jimmy Snuka, King Kong Bundy, Lex Luger, he could still kind of go. But I like wrestled all those guys because I like, they'd put me against them because I worked like my brother. Like I would just sell, bump, boom, 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 So I'd have fun. Bruce the Barber Beefcake, me and him constantly had hair for hair matches because I had long hair.
Yeah.
So he'd always beat me. And then at the last second, I would fuck off. And then some manager would get his hair cut. So, he never got to cut my hair actually. But we had some fun matches. But yeah, Bammer, it was an honor, man, to be in a ring with him.
That's awesome, bro. So obviously, in 2005, your brother unfortunately passes away. And I wanted to ask you about. I didn't want to talk to you too much about that because I don't want to pry for a tragic thing that's happened in your life. But I'm also wanted to ask you about things like the 21st of May 2005, the UXW Chris Candido Memorial Show at the Skate Safe America in Old Bethpage, New York. And you win the Battle Royal on that night. Could you tell me a little bit about an evening like that and being able to participate in a show like that?
That was so special too, because I win the Battle Royal, and then it's me and Balls. That match is on YouTube. So after the Battle Royal, me and Balls are the last two standing, and we're like, let's get it. Me and him, get after it for we opened the show with a real strong match, and it was great. And Balls breaks down crying at the end, and that match was just really special. And that time was just great because the show was stacked with so much great talent, and then everyone was would go after and talk about how great my brother was and how much he helped them. Which my brother really loved helping young wrestlers and everything. If you asked him to watch a match, he would and give you notes on it. And then the trailer to it is me and Sandman were in a room drinking, telling stories back and forth. And we didn't know it, but we were getting filmed. So the trailer for that is me and Sandman kind of sharing stories and shit. So that was a really awesome show, just the special show. So yeah, that whole time was tough, but yeah, that was great. And they did a bunch of memorial shows, but that was definitely the best one, if you ask me.
Yeah, cool. Just wanted to ask you about that. 2005, as things roll along, I found something quite interesting. The 11th of July, I watched this match the other day on YouTube. It was a dark match on Sunday Night Heat. Yourself with Damian Adams took on Balls and Axel in East Rutherford. I just wanted to know about the opportunity to do that, experience there, and was this an opportunity to maybe wrestle in the company, or was it just kind of they're in a certain area and they needed some extras to come and work this dark match with Balls and Axel?
So it was like this. Me and Balls and Axel, that was their first night there doing that, and they called me up get up here right now. So long story short, I get up there right away, and they're like, "Kid, good, you're here. You're the first match on." I link up with Damian Adams. We talk about the match, and so I was on the beach right before this, right? And so I get the call. I get there. I'm ready to go through the curtain. Shane McMahon's behind me. He's like, "Oh, I still got goosebumps, kid." He's because they'd open this, all the pyro and shit went off. We opened the show, and he's like, "Let's go out there and get after it," So I hit the ring, and then I'm a little bit nervous, obviously. And then I look in the front row, and it's all kids from Spring Lake that I was on the beach with 2 hours ago. And they were like, "Holy shit!" I'm like, "Yeah." So that kind of put me at ease. And then being in there with Balls and Axel, so doing that was freaking awesome. Then after especially at that time, Sandman was there, Sabu was there, a whole bunch of guys were there. So they're like, "Get to Atlantic City now. We want you here tonight. Be here tonight." So I was going around with them, and then something happened with Axel. He wasn't going to work there anymore. And Balls was like, "JC, it's me and you. Me and you were going to tag." I talked to Shane. He said it's a go. Me and you. And at the same time, my family's like, we lost one son. We can't go through this shit again. So it was so tough to have to. I never heard from Vince or anybody themselves that they wanted me there. I heard it from Balls, who was telling me that they were saying yes, it's a go. But I started to no show, and because I for real it was either continue wrestling, or my family was like, we don't know what to do. So I ended up stepping away from wrestling in 2007 or 8, and then getting a regular job. So, I mean, you know, life worked out, but you know, it would have been cool to be able to do that. But I understand where my parents were coming from at the time.
Yeah,
But
no,
as far
I
as an
understand that.
experience, as far as an experience, it was freaking amazing. You know, it was great.
Yeah, it's really cool, bro. Because I knew that you had worked, but I actually wasn't aware of that match until I saw it on YouTube. And yeah, I watched it and I really enjoyed it. There was another thing that you were a part of. Sean Waltman misses a show for a pay-per-view called TNA Unbreakable on September 11th, 2005. You end up getting to be perform on the show. I guess Sean doesn't show up and someone approaches you and says, "Hey man, do you have your gear?" Well, what was that situation?
And this is I kick myself in the ass over this all the time because I had two identical fucking bags, and this is before the show even started. They're like, dude, you know, you might work tonight, so you know, grab your bag. And I went shopping earlier. I bought fucking these new clothes, and I grabbed the blue bag, and I went there, and it was my fucking clothes bag. And they're like, "Fuck, you're gonna have to come." I was just gonna straight up tag with Alex Shelley, and then they're like, "Oh, since you don't have gear, you're gonna come out of the audience." And I thought it was the shits, to be honest, because I wanted to just, you know, it would have been so much better if I had my fucking gear and I didn't grab my. Again, that still irks me that I did that. I had to come out of the audience instead of, you know, having my shit with me. But that's the first thing you learn in wrestling is to always have your fucking bag, and I forgot it on that day.
Yeah, I learned that from Lance Storm. He wasn't with the WWE anymore at one stage. He rocked up to a house show and he saw Vince McMahon, and Vince McMahon said, "You know what I'd like to see tonight? Lance Storm versus Eddie Guerrero. Do you have your gear?" And he was like, "Yes, I do. It's in my car." And ended up getting to wrestle Eddie Guerrero for the first time.
Yeah.
Not to rub it in or anything, bro.
Yeah, I broke the one cardinal rule, you know.
So you did say you kind of left the business 2007-ish, but I did see my research, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is probably correct. August 6, 2011, you team with Tommy Dreamer to defeat Two Rude Dudes at the NWS Chris Candido Memorial J Cup in Keansburg, New Jersey. So had it been a few years and you had an opportunity to do something else here?
Yeah, it was more like there was actually a J Cup before that, but they didn't. The person didn't turn the mic on. So I'll tell you what happened before that. The year before that, Balls, or maybe the year after that. Anyway, Balls cut a promo on me about like how I left WWE, and that's why his shit's. He said something. He's like, "Your brother would be rolling over in his fucking grave." He said all this shit, and I punched him in the face, and like half a shoot. We were like, dude, like behind the scenes, we're like, let's make people think that we really fucking hate each other. So when that happened, I ran over, I fucking laid a punch in on Balls, and then we fought, you know, all around. And in the locker room, we were still screaming at each other. The guys had to pull us apart. So me and him were working toward an angle. But back to that Tommy Dreamer match. Yeah, it was like, we're having a memorial show. Will you come back and tag with Dreamer? I'm like, of course. So I did that, and New Jack was there too. And yeah, it was really fun, man. It was it was a cool match, as I can remember. I think the finish was trio woe, chairs in each of their faces, and we both did the baseball slide into the chairs. But yeah, working with Dreamer's great. I love working with all those guys. They're you know, super professional, and the guys who wrestled were good, you know. So it was a good shit.
That's cool. This is where my research kind of ended. I couldn't find anything else. Was this the last time you performed in the ring, or were there other things that just I wasn't able to uncover?
I'm sure there's a couple you weren't able to uncover, because I think the Balls thing happened after that, because I think around then he was in WWE. But there was, yeah, I mean, I did like a million weird shows, like, you know, before that with my brother in like West Virginia or freaking, you know, Long Island, or I'm sorry, or like Vermont and New Hampshire and Maine and Massachusetts. That's what I'm fucking looking at. Massachusetts, like in the Boston area. I worked up there for Mike Sparta, and then we'd come back through and work in Connecticut. This dude, Jason Knight from ECW, he had a promotion there, and we'd work there. So, yeah, but I think that was my last in ring match. I think was me and Dreamer against the two rude dudes, but it was a good match. I remember it well.
That's cool, man. Okay. Have you had your last match? Would you ever consider getting back in the ring again?
It's I would never say never, you know. It's something that once it like gets into your blood, there's nothing that like kind of can replace that feeling, you know. So then I'd never say I would never say never. Maybe I will. I don't know. I've been pumping some iron recently. I'm feeling good, so we'll see what happens. Because I still talk to a lot of the guys like, dude, why don't you come back and tag with me or do this or do that? So again, maybe. I think any retired wrestler or anybody who's been in the ring. I mean, I was only in the business for like a cup of coffee. I just really, you know, my brother did it, so I did it with him. Like if he was a pro baseball player, I would have done that. You know what I mean? Yeah. But it's something that I loved, and once, like I said, once it gets in your blood, there's nothing like it. So never say never. If the opportunity pops up at the right time and I'm feeling like getting after it, I will.
Excellent. Another great thing that has taken place, as you alluded to earlier, No Gimmicks Needed, the book that came out earlier this year. Could you please tell me a little bit about the process of getting the book together and, you know, I guess how proud you must have been when it was all said and done and you were able to release it?
Yeah, it was so great, dude. Like so maybe in like 2010, something like that, I started writing about, because people were like, dude, you should write a book on your brother. So I started writing. I wrote like 60, 70 pages maybe. And I started at the end, at the funeral, like all the hard shit I started with. And I just started wrote like stream of consciousness kind of deal. Then John Cosper calls me and he's like, I want to do a book on your brother. You know, can you help me out? I said, yeah, I can help you out. I actually started writing the book and I couldn't, because when I was writing my own book, me and my brother were together like every day, especially like the last 3 years of his life. We were together every single fucking day. So after I wrote like those 70, 80 pages, I'm like, I haven't even touched the surface. This is going to be like, you know, take me forever. So John Cosper calls me. I'm like, I started writing a book already. How about I email it to you? So I do that. He's like, oh, dude, this is such great shit. He's like, can I use it? And I'll make you co-author. I'm like, hell yeah. So I emailed him the book. And then also every day I would tell him stories because I would think of shit. I, you know, like I'd see a yellow Gatorade. It made me think of one time we were driving in Massachusetts. We're getting lost through traffic. So we're lost for like 6-7 hours. Finally, we see our hotel. I light up a cigarette. I'm smoking it. All of a sudden, the AC turns on, blows the cherry to the cigarette in my shorts, starts burning me. I try to pat it out. My brother pours yellow Gatorade on my white shorts. We walk in, and the receptionist lady was really hot and went to get our room key. And he's like, oh, sorry, my brother pissed his pants. So like, I would just like think of these stories and like send them to John. So anyway, John knows all like the X's and O's of like the career stuff. And I know all like the behind the scenes stories. So it kind of worked really well. So, you know, a lot of the career stuff is in there. And then what was going on behind the scenes, I told, and, you know, and all the funny shit that we did. So yeah, it's really good. And it's been received really well. Like I love reading all the reviews and shit. It's been beautiful. So, and we've been, awesome. Yeah, it came out in January and we were still like, you know, staying very popular. Like people are continuing to buy it and like it, and you know, it's great. So I couldn't be happier.
Excellent, bro. Happy to hear that. And that is an interesting kind of way, you know, a book has been put together there. Someone's working on the in-ring stuff and you were working on the personal stuff. So I like hearing about that. That's interesting to me. And at this time, Johnny, I'd like you to have the chance now to like just plug plug for anyone out there who wants to find and for if anyone wants to find you on Twitter, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I'm at Twitter at at Candido 118, or just search Jonny Candido, you'll find me. We were working on a documentary, and now we picked back up on doing the documentary. So that should be coming. There's going to be a new trailer out some point soon. I'll let you know. But what I'll plug now is my brother's book, Chris Candido, No Gimmicks Needed. You can get it at eatsleepwrestle.com. That's John Cosper's website. And it's also on Amazon. If you just type in Chris Candido, No Gimmicks Needed. And if you want to get one of his shirts, you can go to the prowrestlingtees.com, put Chris Candido in. You can get all kind of tank tops, hoodies, regular short sleeves, whatever you want. So yeah, check it out. And I definitely check out the book if you're a fan of my brother's, because it's got a lot of good stuff in there. A lot of career stuff and a lot of funny stories,
Excellent. And everyone, everything that Johnny's just promoted there in the description. If you're watching here on YouTube, in the description you can find all the links there to everything. Johnny, I've had so much fun chatting to you tonight, but we've got one segment to go on the show. It's 5 Second Frenzy. You have 5 seconds to answer each question. Even if you break the 5 second rule, it's okay, you won't get in trouble. First and foremost, Jonny Candido, who is your favorite wrestler?
My favorite wrestler is Ric Flair.
Excellent. Over the time that you performed in the ring, who would you say is your favorite opponent?
Chris Candido or Balls Mahoney.
Nice. The last one in 5 Second Frenzy about wrestling. If you could pick one match that you performed in that you would say that was your favorite match to be in, which one would you say?
Balls Mahoney, steel cage match.
Awesome. Getting away from wrestling into the arts now. Favorite book?
Chris Candido, No Gimmicks Needed. I like mob books. Murder Machine by Gene Mustaine. So it's a mob book.
Excellent. Favorite TV show?
Favorite TV show? Huh. Let me see. Shit. Sopranos.
I'm seeing a theme here and I'm liking it, being Italian myself. Favorite film?
I think Godfather Part 2.
Excellent.
Or one. They're like neck and neck.
Yeah, they're both very good.
Goodfellas. I don't know.
Moving away from television and film, favorite musical artist?
Raekwon from Wu-Tang.
Awesome, man. Yes, I like it. Getting away from the arts now, favorite food, bro?
I say I have to go Italian again. Probably gnocchi with meatballs. I think that's what I would go with. It's tough. Yep. I don't know. I like a lot of things.
Yep. Delicious decision, I must say. If you had to pick a favorite place to eat on the road?
Cracker Barrel. So we don't have them around here. So it was always a cool place to eat.
Very nice. I hope to indulge there one day. I've heard so many things, but we don't have them over here in Australia, unfortunately. Favorite alcoholic beverage?
Whiskey chased with a beer.
Very nice. Second last one here, 5 Second Frenzy. The naughtiest question of 5 Second Frenzy. Johnny, what is your favorite female body part?
I'd say I'm a boob guy.
Very good. I can't complain with that answer at all. And the last one, Jonny Candido, your favorite curse word?
Fuck, probably, because I say it every fucking second.
It's the number one answer on this show, that's for sure. I want to thank you so much, Johnny, for your time. This has been really fun to learn about your brother, to hear some fun stories, and to learn about yourself as well. Talking about Chris was very important on this show, but I thought it was important to talk about you as well. And I already feel like you and I are friends. I feel like we get along. We have a lot in common as well. So I just want to say like how much I appreciate the fact that you came on the show here today. And you know, your brother's effect on the world is definitely, like, I would say it's evident because I live in the most isolated city in the world, Perth, Western Australia, and I have his action figurine.
Dude, that's so awesome.
I forgot to bring it out with me, but yeah, I managed to get my hands on it quite a few years ago. So like, I just think it's important to know that, you know, that's how far it reached, the most isolated city in the world. So I want you to
that is, man. My brother, he would love to hear that. He's, you know, he loves it. It says in the book, man, like there was a part that I remember like 2002, 2003, when he wasn't in the best place. He put a book about the Von Erichs on our parents' coffee table, and like we stopped over for something. And he was like thumbing through the book. And I was like, Christopher, is this what's gonna happen? You're gonna end up in a coffee table book. And he's like, Mom, if I end up in a coffee table book, I'd be overjoyed to be in a coffee table book. So that's what he would want. He wants, you know, he wants his memory to live on. So it's really cool to hear you from Australia, you know, knowing my bro. It's awesome.
Absolutely, bro. And again, Johnny, I just want to thank you so much for your time, and it's really meant a lot to me. So thank you.
Hey, thank you, brother.
And everyone out there, thank you for joining us here on the Insider's Edge podcast here on the WZWA Network. I'm your host with the most on the West Coast, Karlifornia Inferior, with my new friend, Jonny Candido, and we will see you down the road. Thank you.